It's all in the wrist.
John Constantine is the chain-smoking, cynical DC character whose persona embodies all the traits of a tortured protagonist, derived from Russian nihilistic literature. He's the most fearless demon-hunting Hellblazer who once casually summoned a demon only to light a cigarette. He's most unserious about his own life, not even paying attention to his cancer-filled lungs. As a stubborn man who's been suffering from his past mistakes and guilt, John Constantine hides his true self from everyone around him, making his character ambiguous and appealing to his fans. His comic appearance gained a lot of attention from the fans, which has also escalated after his cinematic debut in the 2005 adaptation starring Keanu Reeves as the American version of John Constantine. However, for true comic lovers, an American John Constantine wasn't enough to do justice to the original character. Therefore, in 2014, Matt Ryan's comic-accurate portrayal of John Constantine quickly became a certified GOAT. However, despite getting a lot of hype from fans, the show was a big letdown in terms of ratings and viewership numbers. Sadly, the TV show aired only one season, with an abrupt ending of the storyline that never received its full closure. In today's video, we're going to talk about how 2014's Constantine turned out to be the biggest flop, and why the network cancelled the further sequels, and what exactly happened to this iconic character played by Matt Ryan. Does he have any hope of coming back again in James Gunn's DCU? To find that out, let's get started. Launch and concept. Created by Alan Moore and illustrated by Steve Bissette and John Tottleben, John Constantine first appeared in Swamp Thing 37 in the 1980s. Then he became the titular character of the DC comic book series Hellblazer. His character was inspired by the famous British musician Sting, who had similar looking golden coloured hair just like Constantine. The very first time Constantine appeared in a film was in the 2005 live action movie, where Keanu Reeves played an American version of Constantine in a dark suit and dark hair. Not to mention that Keanu Reeves looked amazing as Constantine in one of the most iconic scenes from the film, where he faced off with Lucifer, but fans always have a thing for a faithful cinematic adaptation of a comic character, and they wanted the same for such an icon that John Constantine is. Finally, an NBC series with the same title, created by Daniel Cerrone and David S. Goyer, started airing on October 24th, 2014, and ran until February 13th, 2015. Starring Matt Ryan in the lead, NBC's Constantine looked as if it had emerged right from the pages of the comic book. Dressed in the exact trench coat, that loose red tie and the golden hair, Ryan's Constantine was a treat to the comic readers. The 2014 TV show followed our demon hunter and the occult detective struggling to move on from his past because of a failed exorcism, causing him to send a young woman to hell. Teaming up with Liv Aberdeen in Los Angeles, Constantine began fighting against the evil force known as Rising Darkness, and investigated paranormal activities to save humans from ghosts and demons. Throughout the series, Constantine made a lot of enemies, as well as some uneasy alliances, like his Zed, Manny, and Chas Chandler, who often became his support system. However, despite having a gripping plot and Matt Ryan's impeccable portrayal of Constantine, the show had only one season and never returned with a sequel. The first season received heavy criticism, often directed at the creators of the show. Initially, the channel insisted on not showing Constantine's heavy smoking habit, but later, to remain faithful to his comic origins, they allowed the creators to resume filming the smoking sequences. Also, Constantine's bisexuality wasn't clearly portrayed in the show, sparking a lot of criticism from the LGBTQ community. Low ratings and budgetary issues had doomed the show, but it surely gained a cult status over the years. Later, CW's Arrowverse included Constantine, which finally did some justice to the incredible actor that Matt is. Also, in the DC animated series City of Demons, Constantine returned as the reluctant hero once again, voiced by Matt Ryan. Casting and creative decisions. The creators took several creative decisions to present the story as a distinctive adaptation. They created some original characters solely for the show, which have no connection to the comics, like Lucy Griffith's Liv Aberdeen, who was introduced in the pilot episode of the series. Liv was the daughter of the late Jasper Winters, who passed on his supernatural abilities to his daughter through a necklace. Aberdeen was initially created as a female counterpart for Constantine, as she was meant to assist the Hellblazer in his investigations. However, her character was not shaped according to the tone and mood of the story. Her character was reactive, meaning Liv was someone who would think before making any drastic decision. Unlike Constantine, she would think emotionally that wouldn't align with the demon hunter's style. Therefore, the makers had to write her out of the story right after the pilot episode. Instead, they replaced her with Mary Z. Martin, a woman with psychic abilities who, as per the creators, perfectly matched Constantine's energy. Also, not an original creation for the show, she was actually derived from the Hellblazer comics, making her even more appreciated by the fans than Liv. enough. Besides them, another major creative liberty was taken to create a character named Manny, an angelic informant working for Constantine, whom we knew as a good angel from the start. However, in the last episode of the series, it turned out that Manny was an evil force manipulating the rising darkness all along, something that even Constantine's foresight failed to detect. NBC's programming strategy and scheduling issues. NBC made it really difficult for Constantine to succeed by placing it in the death slot, which has been a popular time slot responsible for ruining the viewership numbers of many TV shows, including Dracula, Stalker, Alcatraz, Terra Nova, Awake, and many more. Similarly, Constantine's broadcast timing was in the death slot of Friday at 10 PM, which is by far the most useless time slot for a television show's broadcast. Friday nights are nothing but an excuse to go out of the home and spend some quality time with friends and family. Unless you're a die-hard TV series geek, you would not normally stay at home and spend your weekend night watching TV, and that's the biggest reason Constantine got so many poor ratings. Additionally, this type of fantasy genre has a specific fan base, primarily the young generation, who never spend their weekend nights at home watching TV shows. Moreover, advertisers were not interested in sponsoring the series due to the time slot, which led to financial struggles for the series. It was a time when other streaming platforms and channels were emerging with a high volume of content, becoming strong competition for Constantine, and last but not least, the death slot stigma was enough for viewers not to watch the show, because it was already an established notion that shows broadcast on these slots are less prioritized by the channel. Finally, the producers had a word about the time slot with the channel. They took a long hiatus after its 8 episodes, but after its return with the remaining 9 episodes, the series still aired on Friday night. Instead of 10 PM, the time was rescheduled to 8 PM, which did little benefit to the show. Finally, on May 8th, 2015, season 2 was cancelled. Therefore, summing it all up, the time slot itself doomed the future of the series. Later, many fans were introduced to the series through reviews, leading them to watch Constantine on DVR. Fans started to appreciate the series once again, giving it cult recognition. Ratings, budgets, and network expectations. The makers of the show initially planned to air a total of 26 episodes in the series' first season. However, only the first 13 episodes were released. This was already a heavy budget production, but on the contrary, the ratings were extremely low. The unfavorable scheduling not only resulted in low viewership numbers, but it also made it challenging for the producers to convince the network to provide further funding for the production of the remaining 13 episodes. Season 1 had already dealt with advanced and genre-heavy visual effects, as the storyline demanded otherworldly themes and monsters. NBC president acknowledged the potential of this show owing to its writing and extraordinary performances, and that's why, for a long time, it was under consideration for its next season's renewal, but the network eventually called it off. The show producer, Danielle Cerrone, explained how expensive it was to produce the next season, which was nearly impossible for the network. Still, at the same time, he believed in his audience, whose love for Matt Ryan's Constantine would surely help him resurrect the franchise. After the cancellation, Warner Bros. Television bought the series so that any other channel or platform would release the next season, but it also didn't pan out as expected. Apparently, no other platform was willing to take the risk of renewing the second season of the series due to its poor ratings and viewership record. Fan campaigns and cancellation announcement. Shortly after the show's cancellation, fans gathered on social media to bring their favourite character back to the screen. During November 2014, Danielle Cerrone requested the fans of the show to stream Constantine as much as they could on online streaming websites, and leave #SaveConstantine on Twitter and other social media platforms. These fan campaigns were motivated by Cerrone, but people, especially the comic enthusiasts, truly wanted to bring back Matt Ryan as their favourite Constantine. Cerrone wanted to show NBC that their series had successfully created a huge fan base and got them trending on social media. Still, unfortunately, the social media campaigns weren't enough for a show's revival. Neither NBC nor any other network as such wanted to renew the series, relying solely on the fan base, which led the series to be buried under a pile of unfinished projects marked as failures. Arrowverse revival and lasting legacy. The fan campaigns, the tweets and retweets to restore Constantine didn't go in vain, as in the same year of its final cancellation, CW's television series Arrow had a cameo appearance of Matt Ryan's John Constantine in the season 4, episode 5. Fans were once again elated to see their favourite Constantine back on screen. The series soon escalated to its fame because of the supernatural dabbler's unexpected cameo. The network soon decided to protect Matt Ryan's contribution to the character, as it was one such gem they couldn't afford to lose. In the Arrowverse, Constantine appeared as an occult detective with extensive knowledge of demonology and the dark arts. When Oliver Queen was dealing with the consequences of Sarah Lance's resurrection from the Lazarus pit, Constantine came to guide him with his magical magical abilities to fight against the dark and evil entities. Although it was a celebrated comeback, it felt like his character arc was as unpredictable as it was in the 2014 series. However, surprisingly in 2016, when CW's Legends of Tomorrow got its own franchise series, Matt John Constantine became a regular character, appearing as the supernatural detective of the team. As we dug deeper into his arc in Legends of Tomorrow, we see multiple layers of his personality. He joined the team of the Legends, matching up their energy to fight the monsters with his magical expertise and demon hunting qualities. However, his character journey was still fraught with past traumas, which finally got an answer when he forged a connection with Astra Logue, the young woman whom he once mistakenly damned to hell. Tragically though, at the end of season 6, Matt Ryan's Constantine reached a conclusion when his character died in a battle with Bishop. However, the producers were not ready to let Matt Ryan take a leave from the show even after giving a proper conclusion to his iconic character. After Constantine's death, Matt reappeared in the series as a time traveler named Dr. Gwyn Davies, which once again restored his presence in the series. Finally, in 2018, the DC animated series Constantine: City of Demons featured the Hellblazer voiced by Matt Ryan. Here in this animated series, Constantine came to Los Angeles to save his friend's daughter Astra from a demonic force, but the backstory of Astra and Constantine was explicitly portrayed to get a better idea about their timeline. Unresolved plotlines and criticisms. Constantine started with so many nuanced plotlines, slowly unfolding at the end of the story. Still, in the final episode, many events left insurmountable twists in the story, leaving us with cliffhangers. First of all, Zed's premonition of Jim's death was one of the plots that could get further development in the second season, where we would have hoped to see if Zed and Constantine could prevent his death, or if it was just inevitable. Also, Zed was diagnosed with a tumor in her brain, leading her to ponder whether the psychic visions she had were real or if it was her diseased brain playing tricks with her. In season 2, we could expect an intense subplot involving Zed's dilemma to receive a final resolution, but sadly that didn't transpire. Surpassing all of that, the most unfinished arc from the very get-go of this series was Liv Aberdeen, who could have been an interesting character, adding value to the storyline in general, but her being written out of the story wasn't considered to be a very wise decision. We already discussed Manny's evil transformation at the end, which also didn't get much light because of the series' abrupt ending. However, the young girl Astra, who was damned to hell by Constantine, might have been an unfinished arc. Still, it was later elaborated upon in the Legends of Tomorrow series, where Constantine finally got a chance to redeem himself. From the beginning of the Constantine series, it got a huge amount of criticism for its deviation from the origins. Among the criticisms, one of the crucial ones was Constantine's bisexuality, which was not explored in the titular series. The criticism further escalated because of how the creators of the show thought making a gay Constantine would need some time in the future, which got a huge backlash from the LGBTQ community, accusing them of straightwashing Constantine when his comic origins established him as a bisexual man. However, to the fans' content, the Legends of Tomorrow showcased an honest portrayal of the comic character's sexual orientation, finally gaining appreciation from the community. Constantine and other series. Constantine returned once again in 2022 Sandman, but not as Matt Ryan or Keanu Reeves. Rather, it was portrayed by Jenna Coleman as Johanna Constantine. Joanna was the ancestor of John, living in the Victorian age, but in Sandman, the creators merged these two characters to create a feminine version of Constantine. Honestly, it broke some hearts when that one chance of Netflix using Matt Ryan as a part of the Sandman saga was also blown. However, not to disappoint the fans, Jenna portrayed her character pretty well, but in my honest opinion, nothing can beat a golden-haired trenchcoat clad John Constantine with a British accent and morbid humour solving his demonic cases. Up until now, it has been pretty much official news that a sequel to the 2005 Constantine film is in the process of getting into production, and Keanu Reeves will once again reprise his role as John Constantine, but not as a part of Gunn's DCU continuation. Rather, it will be part of an Elseworlds project under DCU. Yes, Keanu as the dark-haired Constantine is indeed something we'd all love to see, but hands down, no one could beat the portrayal of a real Constantine than Matt Ryan has done. Sadly, there's a little hope that Matt Ryan would return as Constantine in Gunn's DCU, but fans would love to get a spin-off series on their troubled comic hero once again. On that note, our video is over. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment about your favourite DC character that you badly want to get a spin-off of. We'd like to cover that in our next video. Until then, goodbye. See you in the next one.